Right, the first one I want to talk about is round one results. Let's not get too carried away. There'll be 9 winners, there'll be 9 losers. You don't have your season defined by the first result, but how you respond to it definitely is something that you need to handle.
Can I ask you a question?
Because there will be someone out there.
That's right. But
that
as a
will
coach,
write someone off on the back of a round one.
Right. But you work
happens every year.
Okay, that's true. All that is true.
Yep.
But you work on everything for all components of your game, say for 3 months in a pre-season. You go out there, the first real stress test that you hit, and you fail miserably and get your pants lowered.
Yes.
And you lose by 10.
Yes.
As a coaching staff, are you starting then to think, even after one game, hang on a minute,
no,
we're nowhere near where we thought we were?
No, it's whatever the result is, win or lose, it will be feedback. And now you've got to use that feedback to develop your group and to grow your group. There'll be a shock result that'll be in there, and we'll overreact. Someone will overreact to it. They'll say, "Oh, this team's going to have a miraculous season because of this result," and it'll go on the other side. It's just let's pump the brakes for the.
Okay, so why do you push so, or not you, but why do we always read about he's in a race for round one? Players that have had interrupted prep, we've got to get him up for round one. It's no more important than round 20.
Well, in clubland, you're actually considering what's happening in the next 4 to 6 weeks. You're not getting players up for round one unless they're ready to play.
I agree with that, and I've been a large and strong advocate for it. But
it's more of that is the reality.
Yeah, it's more of a media-generated story, though. I think the one that Gary's saying, not so much about the coaching stuff. I think you're right in what you're saying, and that is that you're thinking about, okay, it's a long season. We've got to make sure they get back at the right time. But it's an easy media story and it's an easy headline to say, he's racing to be fit for round one.
There is a romanticism about round one that no other round hits because everyone wants to be a part of the start of something.
That's right.
And that's all great. Players in particular, everyone wants to play round one.
So cool your Jets.
But I think that the reality is it's a long year and there's plenty of ups and downs that are going to happen. So that's one.
How anxious are you as a coach ahead of round one?
If I reflect on my own personal experiences, going into round one was the most anxious period that I can remember. I used to second guess myself, wonder if I'd done enough work because so much can happen over and off season. You can have, you can prepare yourself. When I was a player, I was getting tagged. So you'd always I'd always imagine myself against a Lingy or a Duncan Kellaway or an Anthony Stevens, and you try and work out, okay, well, how hard are they working and how hard do I need to work to outrun them? And that was largely what was happening in the era.
And how long does that last? Is that as a player you could within
10 minutes?
10 minutes, yeah, you're right. And then as a coach, do you just get into a groove and realise that you just got to play what's in front of you?
Well, I think you've got to be really confident as a coach. You can't afford to, those anxieties and the what ifs they can't project. So I think I was a lot more even as a coach, but. There is a unique anxiety that comes in around round one because everyone wants to start well.
Number two,
I gave the AFL a rap. 5 days of scheduling, great matchups, so really well done. Third one I had was Gold Coast Suns. I don't know if this was widespread, but I heard somewhere about the coaching talk. Alistair Clarkson's there, we know that. Ben King signs on, and all of a sudden that is proof that Alistair Clarkson's going to come and coach in 12 months' time. We haven't even got to round one. Gold Coast Suns have played 2 pracky games and done really well.
Really well.
Let's give Stuart Dew and that playing group some space.
Yeah.
Until you hear something from Wayne Campbell, from Mark Evans, or God forbid Tony Cochrane, let's just let them play. Like, let's give them 5 or 6 weeks, let them play, let them work it out, and the season will progress. And they're not the only ones, I suppose, that Clarko will cast a shadow over.
It's a great call.
But it's
not going to happen.
It's a joke.
It's a great call, but it won't happen. And your reasoning is great and it's sound and all those sorts of things, but the shadow of Clarkson looms large for not only Stewart, probably for about 8 others.
One thing I will say with that, do you reckon that doesn't have an effect?
Of course, but it's not going to stop people doing it.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
They won't stop that happening throughout the course of the year.
I don't like it.
And
the last one, I haven't got 5, I only got 4. So
she said
went
a
to
day
bed.
off.
I took 15 minutes early, went to sleep a little bit earlier last night. But Simon Goodwin, I thought the way that he carried himself, and obviously you're close to this, Gaz, and we've got some cutaways of what he said. But he didn't get caught in the he said, she said. he did what a leader needed to do, which was to speak, and he could speak with authority and from a position of power, given he is the premiership coach incumbent. But I just thought that he spoke openly, honestly. He's been vulnerable in the last couple of years. He has spoken about his own challenges and potential shortcomings. But I think that's actually wedded his players to him. And obviously speaking to the relationship that he has with his players, I just thought it was exactly what Melbourne needed right now.
He was calm, rational. He said he felt sorry for the people that were making the allegations. Now, make of that what you will, but he was very much eyes on Wednesday night. Said the proof's in the pudding. And the support of the people was profound, and he's moved on. So I thought he did well. Michael Voss spoke really well last night as well.
Did you think that that you guys, your respective coaches, did you used to look at them and think that they are beyond question, that they are the standout individuals, or the way that people should be? Did you feel that about Sheeds at any?
Well, for the first
point?
10 years, yes. Maybe not the last 4.
Yeah.
But he sometimes, I thought he put us in a difficult position, but I think it was the right way to handle it, because he was combative. Like, in every sense, he was combative. So sometimes you think, oh, God, you've given them a little bit of bait. No, we had great rivalry with Hawthorn, and sometimes he would say things and you think, oh, no, now we are the ones that are going to have to pay for what you've just said the next time we play against them. But there was always method to whatever it was that he was doing.
But for a large part, what he said was gospel.
Oh,
and
100%.
And the way he went about things was the best that could be done.
Are you talking about footy?
Nearly bulletproof.
Just footy, or are you talking about life?
I think the men that they were, the authority that they demanded, the olden day coaches, I think it was I'm right, and anything that I don't agree with is not the way it is. And the way I see things, or the way I am, is the way you need to be. I think that a modern day coach, it's nearly their frailties or their shortcomings that is actually the part that can be their strongest element. It's actually showing that vulnerability and not being perfect that actually weds them to their play groups and vice versa.
Yeah. That's a massive change in society, though, too, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Because we were educated in a completely different way, came through a different school system, different parenting than what exists today, too.
Also, it's a massive change in the nature of football. It is full time. You live with. We used to turn up and see our coach 3 times a week from 5 till 8:30, and so all we did was consume what he had to say about footy. Like, the relationship didn't go much beyond that. Now, as it's evolved, and you guys are spending so much more time together, and then you become a bit more vulnerable, and I think that it's a great development in the way they go. Back then, it was just. I wouldn't know what let's not talk specifically about any of my coaches, but if a coach, how he was living his life,
You wouldn't
know. No, he just come in and go, hey, this is how we're playing, and if you don't, we're going to train for 2.5 hours one-on-one.
I'm not sure if I've said it on air, but I would suggest that Simon Goodwin's personal struggles, could be a stronger reason for Melbourne's success as anything.
Well, you went through it as well.
Yes.
You got to a stage in your coaching life where you had to, open up. I'm not speaking for you, but that's what the report was, and I've had talked to you about this, and you were better. Oh, well, I think you're a better coach for it.
I actually think the modern day player needs to be able to buy in. They need to have ownership of their environment. They want to have more impact on it. They definitely want less hierarchy. And I think the organisations that provide that are getting the best out of their players.
You say that. How does that manifest itself within the realms of a team, within the team and the dressing room, though? What, say, Goodwin has been through?
Would it have
I think
brought them together?
I think it largely comes through the humanising of the person, which I think is happening more and more. I think coaches are being seen as human rather than these know-all seeing beings that have got the answers for everything in the world. And I think it largely comes through the relationship with the leadership group, with their coaching, with their immediate coaching staff, and then it emanates through the rest of the organisation.
The other thing, Bucks, as we said last week, there's lots of lists being made at this time of year. There always is. Everyone has a crack at who's the best player, and we talked about last year. Your take on it is best as opposed to?
Yeah, I think it's worth sort of opening up, and the callers will have some ideas on this in their own teams, but not the most important player to a team is not necessarily their best player. And I think structurally, and we've got one coming up. It's a Dylan Grimes, whether he gets up with his thumb. And Richmond, I think, have got they've got stars all over the field, and I think they're set to have a really good season. But I see Grimes as their most important player. I think structurally he cleans up a lot of stuff behind the ball. He wins one-on-one when he gets caught in that position. He closes down a lot of the opposition attacks and sets them up coming back the other way. And I think the way that he carries himself, he really drives that group with his aggression. So I think that his impact on Richmond, for instance, is probably as profound as any.
Who was that player at Collingwood?
For me, it was Jeremy Howe. And for the last couple of years, and nearly going into 3 years now, Collingwood haven't had access to Howie as often as they would like. Once again, he's one of those galvanizer types that pulls the group together. He leads with his heart on his sleeve. I think his aerial capacity across the back to do very similar to what Dylan Grimes does, pulls that group together. Darcy Moore's pretty close there with him, but when you get if you can get the two of them together, it makes a big difference.